Hello, in this episode of Calendaring, it's going to be dedicated for pro users. So, if you want to take the calendaring into the next level, so all kinds of little things, tips, and tricks we can do to make it more useful and efficient for us. The first thing would be use BA, it's before and after, like for activities to show buffers before and after the event. So, for example, if we are gonna go to dinner, for example, and we need to commute. We either know or we estimate the time to commute. We would write, for example, 20B or something like that, or 20BA if it's like before and after, or just after. It's something to play with. We can do to give us that time frame, that buffers we need before. We can also do add it to all of them, for example, or like make the event bigger or longer. But this is usually I found this is better because sometimes you have to be at dinner at 5:30. You cannot miss 5:30. Therefore, you want to know it's 5:30, but you do still want to know that you have to be there 20 minutes earlier. So I prefer using the BA thing. Also, go smaller and smaller in your blocks to the minimum of 30 minutes or combine two with while using plus. So the better even works. For example, we have a big block of work. The better it is to have smaller events. Those are harder to maintain, but it's better because it gives us more information and data about our lives. So the smaller it is, the better it is. Don't go less than 30 minutes, as we said, and it's just not feasible. And if there's things we're doing together with other events, what we can do is do two things together. For example, is dinner plus, so we're gonna write plus meeting or whatever. We're gonna write something like that. If we do, if it's a 30-minute thing, or this is not a good, but let's say if it's a snack, for example, and phone plus, because it's a 30 minutes, but we're going to do two things and we don't want to do 15 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do snack plus something. Also, use code for easy addition and more information displayed for easy navigation. For example, codes would be lunch. Instead of lunch, just use L. It takes some time to get used to it, but after a little while, it just makes more sense, especially when you're using a weekly layout. Just having that, it's easier. For another reason, that if you're doing BA, for example, it's much easier visually. So you see, it just makes more sense. You would see it makes everything easier on your eyes, and you get used to those codes after a little while. Also, describe the activity you're doing. For example, Starbucks, calendar, or homework bio. Let's say we're gonna go for dinner. Let's do this dinner or with someone. Dinner with John. Something like that. Or you can do even done with Jay, or if you go in or Starbucks with meeting, you can do things like that. I use slashes, and that gives you what's going on in there. So, or what are you doing? Let's say you're working on the project. So I'm going to do, let's for example, W and the project. Let's say bio. Then you're going to save it, and it just make more. You're going to give us more data, and that's when you use that to get more data on what we're doing. Use location both for data collection and for easy navigation. For example, we know where we're working, we can go into this and add the location, and then we can also actually save it for all of them. And not only that, it's the same, but let's say this dinner is at a specific place. We can go add the location, search for it, and then we already have it for. Also, it's good for data Even if it's after the fact, you still gonna do it. Still want to do it. And if before the fact, it's just easier because you go into it, you already have the location, just press and navigate. Use PL in the title with appropriate notes to eliminate forgetting and accelerate getting ready. I'm not going to go too deep into a PL is a pack list. So for example, you're going to go again to dinner, but you want to get a few things before. So let's go dinner and I'll do PL. For example, I'm going to do it this way. And that tells me to refer to a pack list. And that pack list is whatever app you're using. I'm not going to get into too deep into the pack list thing. There's a lot about that, but it's really good because it reminds you to go. Let's say you're going for a hike. Activities, it's going to be actually a hike, so we're going to change it for a hike, and then you're going to write PL. Or you can even do this. Sometimes I use just not forget. So when I do want to go to the hike, I know there is a pack list, so I won't forget things. Very useful. Use duplication when scheduling the same type of event in order to reduce the time it takes to add all the details. Let's say you already have something set up. Let's say this dinner is already have a location event. What we want to do is duplicate and then change that just specific things, and then we have all the information already set up. We have the location if we had one, we had the dinner, and we have the 20B and all of that set up, the color, everything. So very useful, going to save us a lot of time. Use introductions for better readiness for events and eliminate forgetting. For example, massage and 28 edibles and appointment. For example, we can add many things. Not only that, we can add, for example, appointment, or I'm just going to write up. For example, we can add even that, like a question mark, or you have to eat before, and you can even write eat if you want to, or drink, whatever you want to do before. You can add those before to the event, and then you can just save it, and then you're gonna have that notification with all that, because you want to do appointment, and if you want to do an appointment, you want to even give it another notification, let's say 5 hours before, so you know to make that. So you want to add that notification too, and then you would get noticed ahead of time about doing all that you want to do. Use colors that are reminiscent of the activity for better recollection and identification. Whatever works for you. It's easier if you know, for example, one color reminds you of food, use that color for food. One color reminds you of activities, use that color. It's good for easier visualization, easier creating events. So I would recommend that. Use question marks to depict an event that is not confirmed yet. Use it in both in repetitions and when adding new events that may not take place. So we want to use question marks. For example, we already have some of it here. You have class, it's a question mark. Why we use a question mark is because we're not sure if we're going to go to that class. It's something that will tell us ahead of time, or when just looking at it, there is class, and it was like, will we go to that class? And it's easier to put things. Sometimes I think I even spoke about it, like we can do 2 events. So we have a movie and we have activities. So we're going to use either one. So we're just going to schedule 2 and we're going to eliminate one of them when necessary, when we get into it. And one more thing about the duplication feature, this should be used when we want to create another event similar to the one we already have, similar things that I said before. So we're just going to duplicate things and just make it much easier on us, very similar to what I said before. So that's pretty much it for this episode for pros. There's maybe a little more things, but the more we do it, if you have some ideas, feel free to share. The more we use it, the more we get better at it, and I think it should be great. Next episode would be Q&A, some questions and answers that are related to calendaring. That's all. Thank you.